The world is shifting, and BRICS is at the center of this transformation. Once just a concept for emerging economies, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, BRICS is now a force to be reckoned with. Recent years have seen dramatic expansion. Egypt, Ethiopia, Iran, the UAE, and Indonesia have joined, bringing the group to 10 members. BRICS now represents nearly half the world's population and over a third of global economic output. The expanded BRICS, or BRICS Plus, offers an alternative, one where emerging economies set their own agenda. The group is exploring ways to trade in their own currencies, reducing reliance on the US dollar. The bloc's growing influence is undeniable. The expansion is a clear message. The era of a single global order is ending. BRICS is now a serious player on the world stage. Turkey's interest in BRICS marks a major shift in global alignments. For decades, Turkey was anchored in the West, NATO member, EU aspirant, and key security partner. Yet, after years of stalled EU talks and shifting global dynamics, Ankara is rethinking its future. In early 2025, Turkey's foreign minister publicly announced serious consideration of BRICS membership. This isn't just a diplomatic move, it's a strategic pivot. Turkey seeks new alliances and economic opportunities beyond Europe. Joining BRICS would give Turkey a seat among emerging powers and boost its autonomy. For a nation straddling Europe and Asia, this is a compelling prospect. The stalled EU bid has pushed Turkey to diversify its partnerships. This reflects a broader shift. Turkey no longer sees its destiny tied solely to the West. BRICS offers a platform for influence and growth on its own terms. Turkey's interest is a sign of changing loyalties in a multipolar world. It's not just about leaving the West, it's about expanding options. The move signals a deeper transformation in Turkey's worldview. The global order is no longer unipolar, and Turkey is ready to adapt. Turkey isn't the only European nation eyeing BRICS, though others remain less public. No EU member has openly declared intent to join, but the idea is gaining quiet traction. For EU states, joining a bloc with Russia and China would be a radical step, challenging core EU principles. Yet countries like Serbia, geographically European but outside the EU, are balancing ties with both Brussels and BRICS members. Serbia's close relations with Russia and China make BRICS a natural extension of its strategy. Other nations in the Western Balkans and Eastern Europe are also watching BRICS closely, seeking leverage and alternatives. While formal applications are unlikely, many are building stronger ties with BRICS countries. This reflects a broader trend. European nations are hedging their bets in a world where relying on a single partner is risky. The second European suitor is more a symbol than a specific country. It represents a growing temptation across Europe to look beyond traditional Western alliances. The unipolar era is over. Multipolarity is the new reality. BRICS is now a pole of attraction for those seeking alternatives. Why are countries like Turkey drawn to BRICS? The reasons go far beyond economics. BRICS Plus offers access to vast markets and new investment opportunities. But the appeal is also political. Membership means a seat at the table of a major global institution. Recognition of rising status. For regional powers, it's a chance to shape global debates and assert influence. BRICS is a platform for strategic autonomy, allowing members to balance relationships with all major powers. It's not about being anti-Western, but about having more options in a multipolar world. The bloc also offers insurance against Western sanctions and financial dominance. By promoting trade in local currencies and alternative payment systems, BRICS reduces vulnerability. For countries with tense Western ties, this is a valuable safety net. The group's appeal is as much about independence as it is about economics. BRICS is a way to de-risk from Western dominance. It's about shaping, not just following the new world order. That's why the bloc is so attractive to emerging powers. BRICS is not a unified bloc. Its members have diverse systems and goals. This diversity is both a strength and a challenge. Russia and Iran see BRICS as a tool to challenge Western dominance and build alternatives to the US dollar. They push for a more confrontational stance against the West. In contrast, India, Brazil, and the UAE seek strategic autonomy, aiming to reform, not dismantle, the global order. They want a greater voice for the global South, using BRICS to build bridges, not burn them. China, the largest economy, balances these visions. Beijing uses BRICS to expand its influence, but avoids alienating Western partners. China mediates between the confrontational and reformist camps, aiming to shape a new world order with itself at the center. The bloc's future depends on reconciling these competing visions. BRICS's strength lies in its flexibility, but internal differences could limit its impact. The group's direction will be shaped by how these tensions are managed. BRICS is a work in progress. Its unity and influence are still evolving. The rise of BRICS is deeply tied to shifts in US and EU policies. America's unpredictable foreign policy and America First approach have pushed some countries to seek alternatives. The US now views BRICS's expansion, especially with countries like Iran, as a direct challenge. Washington is pressuring allies like Turkey to stay aligned with the West. This puts countries in a tough spot, torn between old alliances and new opportunities. The EU faces its own dilemma. It wants to be more independent but remains reliant on US security. The war in Ukraine has deepened this dependence, limiting Europe's autonomy. Officially, the EU can't engage with BRICS while it's led by figures like Putin, but it can't ignore the bloc's growing economic clout. Europe is trying to boost its competitiveness and resilience, but it's caught between US pressure and China's outreach. The EU's future role depends on how it navigates this complex landscape. Europe must decide whether to follow Washington or carve out its own path. The BRICS challenge is forcing a strategic rethink in Brussels. The global chessboard is being reset, and Europe must adapt. Turkey's potential shift to BRICS is more than a diplomatic headline. It's a seismic change in global power. For decades, the West was the world's center of gravity. BRICS's rise and interest from traditional Western partners challenges this order. If a NATO member like Turkey joins BRICS, it could fracture Western alliances and paralyze NATO decision-making. For the EU, it would end Turkey's membership bid and force a total reassessment of relations. The global economy is already fragmenting into competing blocs. More BRICS members would deepen this divide, creating parallel systems for trade and finance. The era of a single global market may be ending, replaced by rivalry and instability. A multipolar world isn't necessarily more peaceful. It could mean more competition and less cooperation. Turkey's move is a symptom of a larger transformation. The old global order is dissolving. Turkey's interest in BRICS is a wake-up call for Europe. The continent's privileged position is no longer guaranteed. Europe must now compete for influence in a crowded global arena. For Turkey, joining BRICS would mark a final break with the EU dream and a new identity as a Eurasian power. This brings opportunities, but also risks, especially for its economic ties with Europe. Europe must address its own weaknesses, boost competitiveness, innovate, and develop a more independent foreign policy. As long as Europe is seen as following Washington, it will struggle to be a true global actor. The EU must become a pole of attraction in its own right. The flirtation with BRICS reflects the rise of the global South and the end of Western dominance. Europe faces a moment of truth. Will it shape the new world order, or be shaped by it? The choices made now will define Europe's place in the 21st century.